It's all been said, but what's very interesting, there are 4 major groups in Columbia that deal with education. There's an education committee in the House, there's an education committee in the Senate, there's the school board itself, and then there's the Education Oversight Committee, which met today. It was a long trip, but we heard that they were going to talk about passing a resolution supporting Common Core, moving into the history and science. They're now in English language arts and math. And moving into history and science would be, in our view anyway, going over the top of the hill and picking up speed. So we all went up there to just listen to it and see what they had to say. But it's very interesting the way they look at education. The Oversight Committee doesn't look at it as Common Core. They look at it in pieces. And it's quite amazing. They were interested. I was there only for about 2.5, 3 hours, and they were interested in what is necessary to say that somebody is ready for college, 2-year, college, 4-year, or career. What are the ingredients necessary to manifest that they're ready? That was one. And then the other thing was, what kind of measurement system do we want to use? And of course, Smart Balance is there, PARCC, and there's the ACT and the SATs. And they spoke about that as a freestanding component. And they wanted to see what all the other states were doing. But I don't think they view it as Common Core per se. This Education Oversight Committee sees it as pieces. And yet to us, it's all part of Common Core. And that's quite amazing. But they did see their role rather clearly today, and it sounded to me like it was the first time. They felt that it was their responsibility to recommend to the legislature laws that they could pass that codified the education system of South Carolina. That's the first time I'd ever heard that they were looking for laws. And I'm not sure whether they're going to carry that out or not, but that's the way they felt about it. But you know what? I had seen emails exchanged with people on the Oversight Committee before today's meeting. And one of them said, if you can show me, you see, he said, I have in the past opposed Common Core, but I have a hard time doing it because if you could show me one instance where there's corruption, there's failure, there's something terrible, if you could show me one instance, then I would feel strengthened. And what occurred to me, and I wrote back, what occurred to me was that it's too early. It's still nascent. But if you look at the behavior of the federal government and its mission creep, you know, once they said, let's give a little health care to the seniors. And so now we have Medicare with knee replacement, hip replacement, heart replacements, even sex change in prison, and Medicare, and now national health. That's mission creep. Oh, let's create some ability to fund mortgages in the open market, so we'll make Fannie Mae. Then there's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the FHA and $10 trillion in mortgage-backed bonds, $1 trillion of which was lousy, and a financial collapse. And so we know that the federal government creeps. And so if you let them in now, in 15 or 20 years, I said, you don't want to be called the useful idiots who let the federal government take over the entire school system. And so that, to me, is a battleground for us to take. And it has to be done one-on-one on a personal basis. And I know 1 or 2 of those people, and maybe that will help. But our situation locally, as far as our GC Pi, that's a Greater Charleston parents involved in education, is we're at a point now where we have pretty much trained teams. Ken Battle, are you still here?
Yes.
Ken Battle and Aisha Thurston are going to be trained by me this Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? Wednesday, 4 to 6. We have myself and Sherry Timmerman, and yours truly is another team. And there's a third team. There's Bill Bates and Gwen Clark, and of course Linda Ensore. Linda has her own approach to things, but all the same, we consider her part of the team. And that's important.
Take that as a compliment.
Remember,
I do.
Well, she has her own approach. She's very effective. But our approach, remember, our strategy is to convince people that we're heading down the wrong track, and that it's just going to get worse and worse and expand like a bad ulcer. And that we need to sign up people who are willing to be activists when called upon to be activists. Now, I'm not talking about torches and pitchforks. I'm talking about postcards, phone calls, emails. And I came directly from Greenville tonight, so I don't have clipboards for you to sign. But the next time we meet, you will sign up the same as Billy Shuman, and you'll be there for us to call upon when we need you. But we're about ready to make calls and make presentations. We have going on 30 organizations, some of which have already been done, but we'll be hitting the, we'll be taking our film on the road, so to speak, and signing up people. Yes, dear.
Talking about showing you one failure, I think that every state that so far has implemented Common Core and done the testing now failed miserably.
There was an article in the Wall Street Journal this morning. It showed that the testing was applied in New York State, and the ELA standards that they applied for the new testing, the performance used to be 65% passing in New York State for ELA. It's down to 33. For the math, it used to be 55. It's now down to 26. It's almost gone in half. Now, I think that's maybe just training and education, but if that's going to be the future, the near-term future of Common Core, the parents are going to have pitchforks and torches that are going on to school. So
And that's what it's going to take.
I'm not sure what all of that means, but it is an indication that there's some spit and fury out there. Larry.
I just wanted to say one of the main problems with the Common Core in the English, what they've done is they de-emphasize classical literature and are using text. And the problem with that is they use their own historical text or social justice text. So they've already got the Trojan horse of the history standards in the Common Core for English by the text that they chose for students to read and learn. So that's a real danger, and I can give a whole talk on that because that's how they get in there, and they've already could, by emphasizing literature that makes you think, but in putting the text in is they can put the propaganda in that way, so the harm is already done.
And of the 100% reading literature for ELA, in the early grades up to the 4th and 5th grades, only 30% non-classical material. But when you get to the senior level, it's 70%.
Right.
And that's when the fertile minds begin to absorb what potentially are social justice issues and maybe a little green stuff,
And that's the
environmental and
EPA manual.
Yes. Yeah.
EPA manual. Anyway, I'm finished. I think we've done enough.
Well, Roger, I do want to congratulate you on your most excellent letter that was in the Post and Courier today.
Only 700 words. I can read it all to you if you wish.
Look at the bottom of the paper, it's very good.
I will email it out though because I thought the two comments were interesting and so just two guys. Peter Smythe was one, and the other guy I did not know, and not that I know Peter Smythe, I just know his name that he writes often. And but the first guy was, right on, Mr. O'Sullivan, so he agreed with everything. But Mr. Smythe said that he felt like the problem really lay in the textbooks. Well, it does. But I'm like, oh, wait, it's almost one and the same. That we're rewriting history and we're throwing in the EPA manuals and we're getting rid of any literature that teaches values and principles and, God and country and honor your parents and things like that. And so, if we can't have God in the schools and a teacher can't tell her, you can't share anything anymore. So where do they learn it then? If their parents are too busy either, country clubbing it or working just to put food on the table, then teachers spend a lot of time with children. So it has to come from teachers. I think we're ready for the drawing. Oh, no, we're not.
I was just going to say, Peter Smythe used to be a principal in charter math and science.
Oh, okay.
He's in education.
Is he connected to the bill? Smythe?
I've met him a few times when he was there, but
Well, anyway. Oh, what are the prizes? It doesn't matter, it's a game. Come on.
Visitors.
We're going to do this so that, do you know where that you've got one there? Yes. Okay, Miss Dorian is going to call out your number. Oh,
Okay.
well, it's